Good evening and welcome to Tucker Carlson Tonight. Guess what's still going on? Think back to 2016 in the campaign then. Donald Trump used to recite a poem about a woman who took a dying snake into her house and nursed it back to health. The snake did become healthy and then immediately whipped around and bit the woman. As she breathed her last breaths, the woman asked the snake, "Why did you do this?" "Well, because I'm a snake," was the reply. "That's what we do." All of which somehow reminds us of disgraced former National Security Advisor John Bolton. Republicans in Washington tonight seem shocked to discover that Bolton has turned and betrayed his former boss, Donald Trump. But they shouldn't be shocked. That's who John Bolton is. That's who John Bolton has always been. That's what John Bolton does. And not to brag, we called it long ago. Bolton wanted war with Iran. He's always wanted war with Iran. He's obsessed with it. Here he is, for example, gleefully fantasizing about regime change there long before he became National Security Advisor. Watch.
I have said for over 10 years since coming to these events that the declared policy of the United States of America should be the overthrow of the mullahs regime in Tehran. And that's why before 2019, we here will celebrate in Tehran. Thank you very much.
But Iran wasn't Bolton's only target. He also wanted more war in Syria and war in Venezuela, too. He wanted the war in Afghanistan to continue until your great-grandchildren are too old to serve. And of course, like all neocons, he wanted war with Russia. Lots of it.
Who has heard the poem called The Snake? So here it is, The Snake. It's called The Snake. On her way to work one morning, down the path along the lake, a tender-hearted woman saw a poor, half-frozen snake. His pretty-colored skin had been all frosted with the dew. "Poor thing," she cried, "I'll take you in, and I'll take care of you."
In 2016, Bolton cited Russia as one of America's greatest threats. Can you imagine? But not China. For Bolton, every conflict was the final test of America's resolve and a chance to use overwhelming military force. Maybe because he never served in the military himself, Bolton genuinely, passionately loved war.
She hurried home from work that night, and as soon as she arrived, she found that pretty snake she'd taken in had been revived.
In the end, of course, he didn't get it. Trump blocked him at the brink of more than one conflict. Bolton finally left in well-deserved humiliation. Bolton's resignation was one of the highlights of the president's first term, a day of celebration for normal people everywhere. And so suddenly, for the first time, they loved John Bolton. What a hero he was.
Bolton is something different. He's one of them. And he's not prone to just lying.
And you have to give him the benefit of the doubt on credibility because this president deserves zero.
A conservative's conservative, says a liberal. In fact, the only thing John Bolton helped conserve over the past 20 years is Raytheon's stock price. He did a good job there. In Washington, counterproductive wars are a virtue, not a vice. Just ask Mitt Romney, one of their biggest champions. Over the last week in the Senate, Romney has made a ton of ambivalent noises about having relevant witnesses testify to the public. Hunter Biden, Adam Schiff, the whistleblower who shall not be named? I'm not sure. Not really necessary, says Mitt Romney. But John Bolton? Mitt Romney would love to see his old friend John Bolton testify before Congress.
But if I hadn't brought you in by now, oh heavens, you would have died. She stroked his pretty skin again and kissed him and held him tight. But instead of saying thank you, that snake gave her a vicious bite. "I have saved you," cried the woman, "and you've bitten me, heavens, why? You know your bite is poisonous, and now I'm going to die."
Keep in mind that Bolton was once a, quote, senior foreign policy advisor to Romney's doomed presidential campaign, and clearly they're still friends.
I think with the story that came out yesterday, it's increasingly apparent that it would be important to hear from John Bolton. It's pretty fair to say that John Bolton has a relevant testimony to provide to those of us who are sitting in impartial justice.
Will John Bolton testify? Who knows? Either way, it won't change the outcome. Trump will be acquitted.
Oh, shut up, silly woman, said the reptile with a grin. You knew damn well I was a snake before you took me in.
But it's worth taking this moment to pause and think about John Bolton himself for a moment anyway. How did a guy who disagrees so completely with everything that Donald Trump ran on and won on, how did that guy wind up in a position of power in the White House? Good question, because he's not the only one.